Hello and welcome to Comic Talk. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Drew.
And this is our weekly pull list review for August 24th. Is it August?
Yeah.
Yes! Alright, just to clarify, I'm not excited that it's August, I'm just excited that I knew it was August. This week we have 2 comics. Just 2. That's all. So we got Blue Beetle #1, Blue Beetle Rebirth #1. See, because Blue Beetle is above Rebirth instead of being below it, which would then be Rebirth Blue Beetle #1, because that's not confusing for new readers. New reader friendly. And then we also have Archie #11. So let's start off talking about Blue Beetle Rebirth #1 by Giffen and Collins and Fajardo Jr. They liked it so much they used it twice.
This one, we get some villains and he has to fight them, and it's kind of establishing the world, I guess. Not directly, they don't say like here's like the origin story or whatever, but it's kind of a little throwaway plot and little things here and there kind of clue you in as to who's who and why.
Right, so we have a slightly different status quo than what I've understood. I'm not a huge Blue Beetle person, just back up a second, so I don't really know for sure, but it seems like...
You know the best thing about the very first Blue Beetle was? The question story in the back.
Oh, yeah. So, apparently, in now Rebirth version, Blue Beetle Ted Cord was never Blue Beetle, and then Jamie Reyes took over. It's like Ted Cord's just a rich guy, and Jamie Reyes is Blue Beetle. Jaime.
Is it Jamie or is it Jaime?
I don't know. I bet it's Jamie because he's American.
His last name is Reyes.
Right. But it's probably... Who cares?
Okay.
Who cares?
Well, somebody does.
Yeah. I'm sure people care. Well, I'm sure we'll get an answer.
Yeah, so it'd be Jaime.
Obviously.
So it's Jaime.
It's obviously Jama. Okay, so Jama and Ted Cord are like a team.
They're a team.
And this has a very Spider-Man feel.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man, and it feels like Spider-Man and Tony Stark.
I was going to say Iron Man, yeah.
Kind of thing.
Iron Man in the background.
Right. Mm-hmm. Do you like it? What did you think?
I felt like even with as concise of a story it was kind of scattered. Mm-hmm. I guess I didn't really get lost at any point, but it was like, why the hell am I looking at this right now? I don't understand. I liked it better than a lot of the other Rebirth stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm in the same boat with you. This reminded me of the original Ultimate Spider-Man. It's kind of loose and fun. Jamie's kind of Spider-Man if he didn't want the powers. Right? Which is, I like the twist on it. I like that idea for a character. Like, he just wants to get rid of it. It's a nuisance. It's a pain in the ass.
And he doesn't really know the nature of the thing, which is another cool thing.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I feel like the hook's fun. I like the writing in terms of the dialogue and how the characters play off of each other. I think it's fun and loose and conversational in a way that nothing else so far in Rebirth has been. Everything else has been either very dour or very stilted. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, even Batman feels kind of dour and stilted. The Superman stuff. I read Deathstroke the other day, and it's just dour, and none of the characters feel like real people. It's
not even start on Flash.
Yeah, and Flash is super stilted and awkward. It just all feels like comic book tropes and cliches, and this feels like it's trying to break that mold. It feels like a Marvel book to me more than what's going on at DC.
It has characters that like have personalities and stuff.
Right, it reminds me of like Ultimate Spider-Man, Power Man and Iron Fist right now, Miss Marvel. I mean, it's not as good as Power Man and Iron Fist, but it's got that style of the characters are what matter and how they interact, and like the thing that's happening to them is just there to give us a reason
for these people to have a thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which to me is miles above the rest of the DC stuff, but still not great yet. I like it enough to read more.
Right. Given that this isn't the real number one, we're going to have another number one soon.
Right, because Blue Beetle is above the word Rebirth instead of below the word Rebirth.
Yeah,
so that
you got to be careful with that.
That matters because that's a thing. New reader friendly.
Anyway, yeah, so I'm willing to stick around until the real number one. Yeah,
cool. Artistically, paneling's a little bit above average, but generally
pretty average.
It's just pretty normal. Again, it looks like an average Marvel book. It looks like Marvel House style, which is weird. I really feel like they're trying to be a Marvel book over there.
Yeah, I'd say it's way closer to like Runaways than it is Superman or something.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well let's move on from there. That's a slight win for Rebirth for once.
Yay.
Yeah, it's like if the thumb goes directly sideways and then you tilt up just a little.
Yeah, we're at like a 30-degree angle.
Yeah, it's a strong 6. So let's move on. Let's talk about Archie number 11, Wade, and you know what? This isn't Veronica Fish anymore.
Who is it?
This is Patilli and Jampole.
Jampole. Love that fucking name.
Yeah, Ryan Jampole. He did the breakdowns. So, like, while Patilli was
in charge of the melodic content.
Right. He's just doing the breakdowns, the middle parts that are just rhythmic, you know? Or maybe while Patilli...
the gentist.
Yeah. Maybe while Patilli was drawing, he was kicking some sweet, like, breakdance moves and shit, like spinning around and stuff like that. He's like an old school breakdown, you know?
There's like in Mark Wade's office, like he's doing this thing, and then there's a dude just like playing blast beats behind him.
Yeah.
For hours.
Right. That makes sense. You know, it fits with the story. So what'd you think?
Well, let's talk about what happened a little bit too.
Okay, yeah.
In the last issue, maybe it was the one before that, the teacher ended up quitting because Ronnie's dad like fucked him over basically. And in this, Ronnie decides that she needs to win the talent show so everybody likes her again. And Betty gets pissed off because she doesn't want to hear someone else in her place. So she starts her own band. And then they both play the talent show, and the audience is split between people that hated the teacher and people that liked the teacher, and they become kind of pawns for that.
Right. And like every Archie issue that we try to describe, it like the plot does not do the story justice, does it?
You're describing it like that.
It sounds like a stupid Archie book from years ago, which is the true genius of Archie. Is it still somehow has the stupid plots that you would expect from Archie, but just done awesome, right? So did you like this as much as I did?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I did too.
Yeah, they kind of broke from the standard form that they have been doing too, because we've had like this chapter by chapter breakdown up to this point. But here it's like in a couple spots, it's like a couple panels, and then we cut to like a different subheading of, I
loved that. It was so clever, and we've talked about recently in past issues where this has become more of a thing, where it like each section is a Archie starring this or in that, and how much we liked that. And like he's been setting up this gag, right? I have to imagine that the whole point of that was to set up the gag in this one, which is incredibly great gag, where we have this fast-paced, like how in the comic medium normally would you try to do this idea of jump cut that you get in other media, right? It's hard to pull off in a comic. It usually is very disjointed. So he uses this crazy device of like each of the jump cuts has its own title. Archie and Rehearsal Reversal, and then it's like 4 panels, and then Tony Topaz and Sweet, right? And it just keeps going, and it gets more and more frantic. Like, here's just one panel.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, here's a one-panel story and then another panel. And it just has this amazing effect of jumping you from thing to thing and running you through all these different perspectives really fast without jarring you at all. In fact, the only jarringness of it is part of the joke and what makes you laugh. It's like a built-in joke to also tell the story. It's brilliant.
It also lets him jump forward in time or not as much as he wants to.
Right. Like a lot of these things are happening at the same time even. Like he's walking out the door and bang, 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 like 4 little mini stories happen at that moment.
Right.
It's awesome. And it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
As you see it happening and it comes faster and faster, like it's a joke in and of itself, even though it's a storytelling device, which is kind of what we've seen a lot in here. Like it's just these compounded meta jokes and kind of stories within stories happening. It's just brilliant writing.
Yeah, definitely a home run.
And then at the end of this, right, they play the thing, they're doing the vote, Archie goes outside, and then we have this amazingly paneled and drawn like 2 or 3 pages of Archie and Betty like reconciling. But it's just this really soft, dynamic, all in the art, right? Most of it's not even spoken, or if it is spoken, it's just a few lines, just like, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, or we've always been friends. But it's all done out in this nice, long, soft montage, or not montage, but you know what I mean? Like what would be a good word for like, it's just a whole scene.
Sequence, yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, and that really, I think, adds a lot to like the impact of the scene, you know, because if it had, I mean, really you could tell that in like 1 panel or less.
Right.
You know, but the fact that it takes up like 2 or 3 fucking pages and just shows like little bits of like movement and, you know, facial expressions changing and perspective and everything just makes it feel so much more powerful and real. And it's an amazing way to end the issue that's been so light and funny. Like the first third of it was so silly, old school Archie of, you know, playing the different songs and like she can't play because she's mad, back and forth, and Verona can't sing unless she's looking at him. Like it's these silly tropes from old school Archie, and then we end with this powerful, like very, very meaningful scene that is long. And again, like you said, I think you're right. Like most people would have told that in two panels. The first panel, he walks outside and sees her. Next panel, they talk. And then it's done. And then that's the end of the issue. Like, oh, they made up. But instead, it's 3 pages of like 9 panels, 6 panels each. And it's just body movement and body language. And he turns his head and she turns her head. And they look at each other and they look down. And it like really draws you through these characters in a way that you don't hardly ever see in any comic, let alone something with the title Archie on the front. Right. And that's been actually pretty true to form to the series, though. There's always been like that one weighty moment in every issue that a lot of times makes you feel like shit, you know? And yeah, the fact that he's able to run, you know, that wide of a spectrum of emotions, like from, you know, cheesy to like meta commentary to really funny to really weighty to fucking depressing. I mean, what else can you say? Yeah. What else would you want?
Yeah, great stuff. This this is beyond what I expected. This is just one of the better issues I've read of this.
And the next one may be the last one.
Yeah. What's the story there? It's to be concluded. So anybody out there know what's going on there? Want to give us a heads up on if to be concluded means Wade's going to be done? I mean, it would be 12, which is 1 year, which has been a trend in comics for the last few years of, you know, wrapping things up in 12 issues, 2 or 3 trades, depending on if it's 4 or 6.
Right. And he really doesn't have the habit of staying on things for a super long time, it doesn't seem like. We needed Daredevil for a while, like through a couple reboots, you know, but it seems like he sort of like makes his mark and moves on. So
yeah, so I wonder if he's going to be done. And if so, if the next person that picks it up can continue with this level. I have a hard time believing anybody else can do this well.
Well, we did decide it was going to be Grant Morrison.
Grant Morrison's going to take over, or Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
One of the two will probably be next. All right, we got anything else we want to talk about?
No.
No, me neither. I guess you get kind of a short one today. Check back with this next week when we do this all again. And we always have 2 issues every week, so there'll be something else soon.
Yeah, there'll be something else. You can watch that and then...
And if you checked a day or 2 ago to see what was new, it was just out on Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Just came out on Wednesday. We did Omega Man series review. So if you checked like Monday or Tuesday and didn't see it, it's there now. So go back and look for it. We talked about the whole series. Yeah. Check you later.